It's Super Bowl week. Time to break down the big game. And the Jets have their man? Well, we'll discuss it. The Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital Live starts right now.
Let's go! It's time for the talk to you. 'Cause when it comes to sport, it's all we're gonna do. And all green is always on the sea. And we're gonna always bring it to you live streaming. So get ready, Get ready, gonna feel they come.
All right, welcome aboard, everybody. It's the Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital, presented by our friends at Northeast Roofing Professionals. You see them right above us over there. Never get my directions right in these cameras. Roofing Professionals, if you live in Fayetteville, DeWitt, or any of those surrounding areas here in central New York, give our friends at Northeast Roofing Professionals a call or go to the website, nerpcny.com. Today's video brought to you by our friends at Bayberry Automotive, and we'll hear a little bit more from our friends at Bayberry in just a little bit. All right, it is time to break down the Super Bowl. Every Wednesday, our live show begins with our NFL insider from PFF, and he's with us again, Super Bowl week. It's the one, the only Dalton Wasserman. Hey, Dalton, how are you?
Fantastic. One more game to go before we get into the wildness of the offseason, but I'm ready for a good Super Bowl.
As am I, Dalton. And, of course, for people who don't know, you were coming off the Senior Bowl down in Mobile, Alabama. It seemed a little lighter down there because of all the snowstorms we were getting over here on the East Coast. I don't think there was as many people as there normally is, but I'm sure you were hoping for warmer temperatures when you go south. And sorry, it doesn't seem like that was really the case for you, Dalton.
No, it certainly wasn't. We did 3 shows, one after each day of practice, and all in about 30-degree weather. So we were battling out there, but it was a fun time for sure. There was a lot of talent out there. It was fun to watch.
It's nice to see those Southern folk, getting a little taste of winter. Come on, it's supposed to be winter, my friends, okay? I don't want to hear your belly aching. Figure out how to drive a plow and put some salt on the roads, for crying out loud. We'll lend you some here from the good old great salt city of Syracuse. We got plenty of salt for you people if you need some. Come pick it up. We'll charge you double. We'll give you the special tariff, the Syracuse tariff, all right, on all your stuff. All right.
Some aggressiveness from Lurch right off the top. Okay.
I don't like that belly aching from Southern people. Like, ooh, he's cold. He's 50. Come on, give me a break, man. We're living in a frozen tundra up here. It's like the Arctic, for crying out loud. Paul had to shovel 3 feet of snow the other day. Don't belly ache to me. I don't want to hear it. All right, let's talk all things Super Bowl to start it off, and then we'll get into some of these other stories as well, Dalton. The big game has finally arrived. It's the Patriots. It's the Seahawks. It's a really interesting matchup in simply the case that we didn't expect, I don't think, either one of these two teams to be here, and yet here they are. And in many ways, you could argue that they have been among, if not the 2 best teams during the course of the regular season. So let's talk about it. Are they deserving of a Super Bowl berth?
Absolutely, they're deserving, right? I think the AFC side was always going to be a team that just had to get into the postseason and earn it. Without Kansas City in the playoffs, without Cincinnati in the playoffs, I mean, we're just not used to seeing the race that wide open. And New England certainly earned it, right? They beat 3 really good teams in the postseason, despite what everyone says about the regular season schedule. They beat the Chargers and the Texans and Denver then on the road, despite it being Jarrett Stidham instead of Bo Nix. They had to go out there and earn it. They certainly have. And then Seattle, they've had a tough road to get here. They play in arguably the best division in football, dealing with playing the Niners 3 times, the Rams 3 times. You could argue the Rams are one of the 2 best teams, but, the last 2 teams standing get to play in this scenario. So I think both of them have absolutely earned it. They've gotten better as the season's gone on.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And Seattle being this number 1 seed and, New England, their 2 seed and their cupcake schedule that they got here. We could talk about that, I guess, in a moment here, joining us on the show. But Dalton, I'm curious about the storylines. So if Sam Darnold wins the Super Bowl, how does that change how we perceive Sam Darnold in your mind?
Look, he should already be perceived as at least an above average, if not a very good quarterback, right? He's played like a top 10 quarterback really for the last 2 years, and he's found a way to get himself in the right system, right? I think it goes back to even 2 years ago when for the first time in his career, he got to choose where he got to play. He went to San Francisco. He was the backup to Brock Purdy. He had Clint Kubiak on that staff, so he gained that familiarity, but really kind of went through the quarterback rehab out there in San Fran and made the right career choice for himself understanding that his first few years in the league in New York and Carolina just didn't get the development that he should have as the third overall pick, right? You look at the coaching he's gotten the last 3 years. Talk about Shanahan and Kubiak and that staff. Then last year, Kevin O'Connell in a similar system, and now back with Clint Kubiak in Seattle. I think he's just made all the right career choices for himself, and it's really gotten him to develop because he always had the talent to do this, right? He was drafted third overall. The expectation was, hey, this guy could be a top 10, top 8 quarterback in the league. Now he's playing like it because he's a little later in his career. He's gotten the right development.
Now, do you have any doubt in your mind? You say all that, and I don't disagree with any of it. But is there still a little doubt creeping in the back of your mind about Sam Darnold in a big moment? Because we have seen him not have such great moments in big moments. Now, one would argue the path this year, he's kind of stabilized that a little bit. He seems to have has it under control, particularly through their playoff run. But give me your thoughts. Is there still a little doubt in the back of that Dalton Wasserman mind about whether Sam Darnold will show up on the biggest stage here of all, and that's the Super Bowl?
Not as far as him being nervous or anything like that. I mean, you got to remember last year with Minnesota, those were the first big moments he ever played in. It's not like the Jets were anywhere near a postseason race when he was there, and neither was Carolina, right? So he never played in big moments before those last couple of games with Minnesota last year. And yeah, he folded in those games, and it is what it is. But those are really his first moments in the spotlight like that. This year, he's taken that experience. He's taken some tough games from earlier in the year, and he's parlayed that into just keeping his calm and cool together and just executing, right? I think he's a guy who understands that his job is to go out and execute the offense. Don't try to do things that Patrick Mahomes does because you're not that guy, or that Josh Allen does because you're not that guy. But you look at these games he's played late in the year against San Francisco, against the Rams, a tight game against the Indianapolis Colts that may not have been expected late in the year. And I think he's found a way now with that experience that he got last year from losing those couple of games at the end of keeping us cool, go out there, do your job, and execute. And that's how he ended up beating the MVP favorite in the NFC title game as well, and Matt Stafford.
Dalton, sometimes in these Super Bowl years, we see a team arrive seemingly out of nowhere. We're like, oh, wow, this team is here to stay. We think about 11 years ago, the Carolina Panthers league MVP Cam Newton. Wow, this Panthers team's going to be here for a while. Nope. Didn't go back. What about the league MVP, Matt Ryan, the Falcons? Whoa, look at this group. They're going to be here. They never came back. So which of these two in your mind has the best chance to come back the soonest? So Seahawks and Patriots are right now both in the Super Bowl. But who would you be least surprised with if, oh, wow, Seattle's immediately back? Or, wow, New England's immediately back here in the near future? Which team do you think is more likely here to stay?
I'm going to say New England. Drake May making it to the Super Bowl in only his second year, and they still have a lot of resources, especially with him on a rookie contract, to improve that team even further. If they want to make a big trade for a number one type receiver, say an A.J. Brown or something like that, right? They still have a very young team that is going to continue to get better. They drafted an outstanding rookie class this year, guys like Will Campbell and Jared Wilson, Travion Henderson, Craig Woodson on the defensive side, right? So they have a young team. They have the right mix of veterans, and you have to continue to filter those in to really add that mix in there to your roster. But New England is in the perfect situation. They've made a Super Bowl. They know that Drake May is a star. He's on a rookie contract for 3 more years. You have an opportunity to improve your football team even further from what you have right now. And what you have now is already a team that's 17-3 in 20 games under Mike Vrabel. So I think New England, to be honest, as long as Drake May continues this development track he's on, they absolutely could start really a new era of that Patriots football that we were so used to with Tom Brady.
Dalton, what's fascinating to me about these two is, there are these offensive stars to talk about. Drake May, an obvious MVP candidate. We'll see how that all plays out. The resurgence, once again, of Sam Darnold, Jackson Smith-Njigba emerging as one of the top receivers in all of football this year. Happy to say he was on a couple of my fantasy teams. Helped me a bit to one championship at least. But give me your thoughts about the defenses on these two teams, because to me, I honestly think the reason they're both here is because of defense.
Absolutely agree. These are two of the best defenses in football. I would argue Seattle's is the best defense in football, and they've just had so many guys step up for them, right? The veteran like Leonard Williams or DeMarcus Lawrence on the defensive line, right? Guys like Nick Emanwari, who's just an absolute freak that Mike McDonald's found the right role for. Devin Witherspoon is one of the best cornerbacks in football. They've played great football all year, and Mike McDonald is one of the best schemers as far as the defensive side of the ball in the league. And then New England, they just keep getting better and better, right? Their defense has really carried them through the postseason. postseason. They've been outstanding up front, especially with Robert Spillane healthy, and that's going to be a big story going into this game is will he be able to play and how will he look at that middle linebacker spot? And then their secondary, man, they've just been terrific. Carlton Davis and Christian Gonzalez at corner on the outside. Both of these teams have well-rounded defenses with playmakers at all three levels. There's not really a legitimate weakness on either side. It's kind of why I'm expecting a low-scoring game in this one.
All right, so maybe that answers it a little bit, Dalton. But I'll give you, in those goosebump books at the end, pick how the story unfolds next. I'm going to give you three choices, 3 doors. Okay, and you get to pick from one of these lucky bachelors. These 3 possibilities for Super Bowl Sunday: a Seattle blowout win, a New England blowout win, or a close game. And I want you to power rank these 3 on the most likely they are to happen in most order. So if you put Seattle blowout number 1, you think that's the most likely thing to happen of the 3 choices, and power rank them 1, 2, 3. Yeah, don't watch them and go.
Number 1, a close game. That's what I'm expecting with the way these 2 defenses are playing. And I think the offenses are going to have to find, explosive plays when they have those opportunities. Number 1, close game. Number 2, Seattle blowout. I think if New England's offense does not play better than they have throughout this postseason, then there's a chance that Seattle could just shut them down and run away with it. And then number 3, the New England blowout, because I don't think Seattle in any of their losses, they haven't been blown out all season. They barely lost the games that they have lost, and their defense is just outstanding. I don't really see Seattle getting blown out with the way they've played all year and their defense playing the way it has all year.
I mentioned JSN before, so let's talk about him specifically. I mean, really has emerged this year as one of the top receivers. What does New England have to deal with here, and how do you think they will try to handle him to try and not allow him to have one of those big games that could do him in?
This is the hardest question. This to me is what's going to is what probably has kept Mike Vrabel and his defensive coordinator Zach Kerr up for the last week and a half and continuing all the way to Sunday. How in the world do you deal with this guy? Because what you have is a weapon that can line up from anywhere on the field. You even saw in the last game, even lining up in the backfield, right? He can line up anywhere on the field and beat you in any area of the field. He really is matchup proof, especially with the way that Clint Kubiak moves him around all his formations. I mean, you cannot leave this guy one-on-one. You cannot be too stagnant with showing zone coverage, the same coverages 2, 3, 4 plays in a row, or he's going to find a way to loosen up Jackson Smith and Jigba and get him open for an explosive play. He's arguably, him and Puka Nacua are probably the 2 hardest covers in football right now, just because they can beat you from literally any square inch of the field. They've got to have a plan to have 2 and 3 sets of eyes around him at all times.
Dalton, you mentioned that New England's offense hasn't really been up to par during the playoffs. What do they need to do, or who do they need to lean on for that to ignite potentially? And maybe they've just been saving it the entire time. I'm sure that's what New England Patriot fans are hoping for. They've been saving it for the Super Bowl. But is there a player beyond Drake May that could be the little engine that maybe inspires the rest of the Patriots offense to sort of explode on Super Bowl Sunday?
Look, even when the Patriots have struggled, they have found a way to create explosive plays. I think the Houston game was a really good example of that, where the offense wasn't consistent, but it was guys like Stephon Diggs and Pop Douglas and Kayshon Boutte who really just found those home run plays that they needed. I think they need to get the ground game going, and a guy to me that should be more important in this game than he was the last game, only playing 4 snaps, TreVeyon Henderson. Look, this Seahawks defense, you are not going to get a lot of opportunities with big creases. They're arguably the best run defense in football. They don't give up a ton of explosive runs, but I have a hard time believing Ramondre Stevenson's just going to beat Seattle 3 yards at a time like he's done the last couple of games and grinding it out. I need a couple of big runs from TreVeyon Henderson, maybe even one of those trademark 50-yard touchdowns, because you're only going to get so many opportunities because Seattle's so fast and they're so sound in run defense. The Patriots need 3 or 4 home runs in this game, and if they get it on the ground, I think it has to be TreVeyon Henderson. He should be a bigger factor.
Dalton, one of the things that has happened with Seattle now with the injury to Zach Charbonnet is they have become a one-horse backfield. But I think Kenneth Walker is actually up for the task. I think he's little talked about, and I think he could be very dangerous. He, to me, could be the surprise of this Super Bowl if their run blocking is good. Give me your thoughts on Walker and what you think he's going to do here in the big game.
Absolutely agree. With Charbonnet out, nobody else but Walker in the backfield should touch the football, right? He's a tough between the tackles runner. He breaks a ton of tackles. And I think a big factor that could make a difference in this game is him in the passing game, right? You talk about the screen game and certain routes he can get going out on the outside. New England's linebackers are very good, but they're not the fastest group. So if you can isolate them out in space, they can have some real problems. And Walker is definitely a good enough receiver to expose that in space. Don't just watch out for him as a runner. I'm telling you right now, Walker in the passing game could be very dangerous in this game.
All right, dangerous guy he is. We're talking with Dalton Wasserman. It's the Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital, now offering memberships, folks. You see that little scrolling, tilting fire thing there right below Boy Green there? That is the 12th Manchild. That is our new membership plateau. You can join right now by clicking on join on our page at MC Show Digital on YouTube. We'd love to have you aboard. Today's broadcast presented by our friends at Northeast Roofing. And there's the membership levels, by the way, Boy Green, quickly throwing those up so you can see we have 3 levels of membership. So come on board. You get some really cool perks like loyalty badges and emojis. I want to see somebody using the Mookie emoji. My dog has an emoji now. It's pretty cool, Dalton. I want to see somebody using that Mookie emoji who belongs to the 12th Manchild. So we're building up our membership. Jump on board. Again, we're presented by Northeast Roofing, and today's video is brought to you by our friends at Bayberry Automotive. Dalton, take a drink. We'll be right back. Hear a little bit from our sponsors. We're coming right back.
Finding the right local roofing company can be tricky. You don't want to hire the wrong roofers, or you could end up spending a fortune on repairs. The pros at Northeast Roofing Professionals can ensure your home is protected by a strong and sturdy roof. Locally owned and operated, over 30 years experience, free estimates, and competitively priced. Don't settle for an inexperienced roofing contractor. Turn to Northeast Roofing Professionals. Discounts for military and first responders. Reach out and let them put a sturdy roof over your head. NERPCNY.com. NERP.
Integrity is a word that some people just throw around in life. But at Bayberry Automotive, integrity is everything. Integrity of their mechanics, who are all experienced and certified. Integrity in the work they perform, with nothing but 5-star reviews from satisfied customers on Google. Integrity that goes along with family, a family-run business that treats you like one of their own. Integrity in everything. Bayberry Automotive. BayberryAutomotive.com.
Located on Route 57 across from Bayberry Plaza, the premier choice for auto repair in Liverpool.
All right, we are back talking with Dalton Wasserman, PFF, our NFL insider. It's our Wednesday live show. You can jump in the comments, make some comments. We'll pass them along. Boy Green and I will be here after we finish up with Dalton to interact with you as well. Dalton, all right, Super Bowl's here. You said you believe it's going to be a low-scoring affair. Let me just ask you, prediction?
Official prediction, I have the Seattle Seahawks getting revenge for the end of the 2014 season, winning this game 20-14. Let's get a little symbolism going there.
Thank God. Okay, nice. Well, let me ask you this, Dalton. This part of it doesn't get love. Hell, we're 17 minutes into our conversation with you. We haven't brought it up yet. How big of a factor is special teams going to be? Because Rashid Shaheed, as a mid-season acquisition by the Seahawks, has been spectacular. I mean, he set the tone for the San Francisco 49ers game in that divisional round. And that's not the only time, of course. He's had a lot of big plays, both in special teams and the receiving game. But specifically, I'm talking kickers. I'm talking punters. I'm talking the return game, man. Maybe a little gunner action. How big is special teams going to be a factor here in this Super Bowl, sir?
I think it could play a big factor. Honestly, it was something I was looking into earlier this week. You could argue that Seattle has the best special teams units all the way around in football, right? You mentioned Shaheed in his short time. He's got 3 returns for touchdowns in his Seattle uniform. When they kick off, they allow the best for them average starting field position in the league. So they're really good on their kickoff unit. Jason Myers, a reliable kicker. We grade the kickers and punters too, Boy Green. And look, Seattle's punter, Michael Dixon, highest graded punter in our system in the NFL, right? But you look at New England on the other side, there's some factors. Marcus Jones is one of the best punt returners, has one of the best averages of all time, right? You look at, reliable kicking unit, even though they've got a rookie kicker in Andy Borogalis. We'll see how that plays out compared to a more veteran guy in Jason Myers. I think it's going to play a huge factor. And you talk about just games being won on the margin. Seattle especially has been winning games on special teams all season.
All right, let me do one more.
Oh, go ahead, Boy Green. Jump in.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, just real quick on special teams. Let me give you this date, and you tell me if it means anything to you, Dalt Wasserman. February 4th, which is February 4th today. By the way, happy birthday, Mom, out in the audience. Happy birthday to my mother. February 4th, 2007. What are the chances we get that again, my friend? And that was the opening kickoff. Devin Hester took it to the hissy to kick off the Super Bowl. The one thing everybody knew, don't kick it to Devin Hester. And Colts said, no, I'm sure it'll be fine. And took it all the way to the house. So I imagine there's some, for those who dabble, entertainment purposes only, of course. But to bet on a Rashid Shaheed kickoff return touchdown to kick off the Super Bowl, man, that's probably some good odds.
Not with this new system, though. Go ahead.
I mean, that's assuming that Seattle gets the ball first. I think it's far more likely if Shaheed does it. But that's also, look, this is why you do the film study and everything like that on special teams as well. New England's got to know that, man. I mean, as dangerous as Shaheed has been, especially since he got traded to Seattle, I got to think you cannot kick it to him. I don't know if that means you bang it out the back of the end zone and just let him have it at the 35, but you can't do what he did just a couple weeks ago against San Francisco, right? Returning the opening kickoff. And there was a part of that game when he returned that kick, it was like, oh, is this game over 10 seconds into it? Because this is a real problem, especially if you knowing that you cannot fall behind the Seattle defense that early, that quickly. To me, I don't think it's going to happen, at least not on the opening kick. I got to think Mike Vrabel especially would avoid that scenario.
Here's an interesting comment that I'll ask you to reference here. The MFC says the Seattle D reminds him of the Legion of Boom. Does this Seattle defense remind you of any defenses you've seen in the past?
I think that's a very good comparison. I think that team, you had Bobby Wagner in the middle of it. I mean, I wouldn't say this team's got a Hall of Fame linebacker in there, but the way that they manage the second level is outstanding. And I think the big thing that sticks out to me, both of these defense, both the Legion of Boom of Richard Sherman's days and this one, they're so fast. It just feels like you watch them on tape and they're playing at a completely different speed than everybody else. And they've designed it that way intentionally, right? They're never in their base defense technically because Nicky Manwari, they kind of use him as a linebacker. He's an athletic freak. Devon Witherspoon's an athletic freak. You got guys up front who just work and work and work, like Byron Murphy and former Jet Leonard Williams. Don't forget about him in that former Jet conversation. We're taking credit for that too. But, guys like DeMarcus Lawrence, like they're strong up front like that team was, but they're so darn fast and everybody's constantly on the football. That's what really reminds me of that team the most is the team speed and the way they attack the ball.
Was Leonard with the Jets or the Giants longer, Paul? You would know the answer to that
question.
Oh,
definitely the Jets.
Yeah?
There's
okay.
no
Jets.
way.
Yeah. I don't remember how long he was with the Jets. I
well,
know that
we'll find that out right now. But
the Jets drafted him, correct? Right? Didn't they draft him?
Yes.
Back. Okay, I thought so. Yeah, thought so. All right.
Yeah,
let's. He was with the Jets and the Giants. He was with the Giants for quite a while. He's a pretty good player for the Giants. I was surprised they parted company. They gave him a pretty big fat contract when they acquired him. All right, talking with Dalton Wasserman, PFF, our NFL insider. What's the number?
So we have a push, as they say in the business. 5 years. So the betting odds people out there in the universe.
5 years. Wow.
Yes, he was.
That's what I said, Dalton. Same thing. Because if you think about it, he got traded before the end of his rookie contract, of course, by the Jets to the Giants, before they had to make a big money decision to pay him. The Giants did pay him once. So he played some years, has the extension as part of it. I didn't know it was that long, Dalton. Off the top of my dome, I was like, come on. It was clearly the Jets, but there you go, a tie. It's crazy how many former Jets are in this game. So just off the top of my head, Jason Myers, the kicker, former Jet. Sam Darnold, former Jet. Leonard Williams, former Jet. Chaz Surratt, special teams ace. Shout out to you out there, the odds. I don't know how many people had that on the bingo card, but Chaz Surratt was just activated ahead of this Super Bowl game. Even on the Patriots, Morgan Moses is on this friggin' team. You go to some of the coaches, Todd Downing. Not that I want to remember that, but that he's over there somewhere as well. So yeah, there's a bunch of former Jets are sort of.
Leonard Taylor. Don't forget Leonard Taylor had the blocked field goal last week. Yeah. Leonard Taylor.
Both Leonards, right? Leonard Taylor and Leonard Williams. Tell me this, Dalton. Why were the Jets constantly the third team in the Super Bowl? That's how Zach Rosenblatt described it in an article for The Athletic. And think about this, right? So we have all these Jets we just mentioned, right? Leonard Taylor, he blocks what would have been the game-tying field goal in the Patriots-Broncos game. Who knows what happens in that scenario? Last year, we had Mekhi Becton. Oh, what an incredible story. He sucked with the Jets and wins the Super Bowl, the Eagles. The year before that, once started the season, Jet receiver Mecole Hardman gets the game-winning Super Bowl catch there. Jet. We haven't been to the playoffs in 15 years. Yeah, we're constantly in the news. We're constantly a Super Bowl story. What's going on here, Dalton?
And just like old Yank, you can just live vicariously through some of
I will absolutely. I'm going to try to find some movie scene where there's a scene where someone's filming someone getting beat up, and I'm going to put a Jet logo on that camera guy, and then a Seattle logo, hopefully pummeling the crap out of a Patriot guy. Yes! And I have no shame, by the way. I am absolutely. When your Giants met the Patriots in the Super Bowl twice, I didn't have a Giants jersey because I'm not a Giants fan, but I grabbed a white T-shirt and I went and wrote out a fake ghetto Eli Manning white T-shirt jersey, and I rooted so hard for Big Blue with my mother, who, by the way, it's her birthday today. She's a diehard Patriot fan. Twice, I'm like, please go Giants! It's better than the Patriots. So I am going to be I'm wearing a Sam Darnold jersey on Sunday. Hell yeah, I'm all in, baby. I'm all in.
I think what it really is, and this is the frustrating part, is that you see these guys. Leonard Williams obviously was so good coming out of college. Sam Darnold, right. 3rd overall pick, and so many other players that have left and had productive careers elsewhere. And I think it just shows you, and that's the frustrating part is, it's not that the Jets can't evaluate talent at the college level, right? So many of these guys, they've drafted a lot of these guys, right? I even think about, guys that they've had in recent years, like Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson, they still have obviously now. They know how to scout talent at the college level, but it's the team building. And it's the developing, right? Especially obviously at quarterback and the way that then you have to build. Because the hard part, to be honest, for as much as the draft gets all the hubbub and all the noise and all that this time of year, and I'm about to be in that for the next 3 months, it's not about the easy part, I should say, is going, hey, that college guy's really good. He's dominating college. The hard part is the minute after you draft him, and now you got to make a plan for the next 4 years and how to develop and how to build a team with them. That's the quiet part, the part nobody wants to talk about, but that's the actual part that makes your team successful. So they know how to evaluate college talent, but they got to build it at the pro level now.
That's for sure. Dalton, do you have anything else on the Super Bowl, Lurch?
No, I'd like to move into the other stuff too. So go ahead. Yep.
Okay, good. The Jets finally hired an offensive coordinator.
Breaking news.
Yeah, there you go. We're both Jet fans. The news hit me a fan. Thank you to Macho Talk Sports, who also won one of our prizes here on the channel. As I was wrapping up my Boy Green Daily Jet show this morning, we got our OC, and I had to confirm, make sure who the hell is it. I'm like, yes, Frank Reich. Former teammate of one Aaron Glenn on the Jets back in 1996, 30 years to the day. They're reunited now. So how do you feel about it? How should Jet fans feel about Frank Reich now being the OC for the NYJ?
I mean, it's hard to know how to feel. And Frank Reich, look, I love Frank Reich, man. His work with the Colts and the Chargers and so many other teams throughout the years. I even think, to be honest with you, as the full year interim head coach at Stanford this year, I thought he did a really good job. That team played a lot better than I thought he would. To be honest, I thought that was going to be maybe the worst team in the country. And they weren't great, but they were not the worst team in the country. They competed hard. I remember them beating Florida State. He got them to play at least to the best of their ability. And Reich is a really good offensive coach, man. It's going to look different than Tanner Engstrand's offense. It's not really going to be the Lions-esque offense that you tried to see, that Engstrand tried to run with this team. So he's got a lot of experience, obviously a veteran, and he's going to get the best out of his players. It's just hard to know what the plan is with Aaron Glenn basically clearing out the entire staff. It appears he's going to call the defensive plays himself. He's really trying to just consolidate the power structure of this coaching staff into him and Reich. And Reich is somebody who he can trust with a boatload of experience and just take the keys on offense, right? Maybe that's the best way to do it, so Glenn doesn't have to have as much oversight on that side of the ball. But at the end of the day, they got to find better players, right? Right now, it's signed under contract for 2026. The only guys you can rely on, really, the offensive line and Garrett Wilson. We got to figure out who else are the reliable players and what the quarterback situation is going to look like, because I don't care who your offensive coordinator is. If you don't have a functional quarterback, none of it really matters.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. It really doesn't matter unless they straighten out the quarterback room, and we'll see if the Jets can do that to some semblance during this offseason or maybe even through the draft, although I don't know, picking where they're picking, if that's really meant to be. We'll see. The other big hire this week was the Giants finding their offensive coordinator in Matt Nagy, the former head coach of the Chicago Bears. Give me your take on that hire by John Harbaugh. Obviously, he wanted Todd Monken. He ends up taking the head coaching job in Cleveland. You certainly can't blame him there. So now he's got to go outside the box a little bit, but he goes out and again gets a veteran guy here in Nagy.
Yeah, a veteran guy with play calling experience and plenty of experience under a Hall of Fame coach in Andy Reid. And interesting because he did kind of flunk out in coaching Mitch Trubisky. And he was part of the Justin Fields era too, the very beginning of it. And that didn't quite work for him. So I think what you're getting with Jackson Dart and Matt Nagy, he's going to try to get the ball out of his hands a little bit quicker. I expect Dart's legs to still be a factor despite some of the concussion issues he had this year, but he's got to get him to be a little safer with his body, right? And then just work on the fundamentals, getting the football out. Malik Neighbors obviously back healthy. He's going to be able to create explosive plays. And I think they're going to try to find him one more receiver at some point early in this draft. That's going to be a big key. But I expect the football to be spread out. They're going to want to run it, but I think it's going to be spread formations and look a lot like Andy Reid's offense out there in Kansas City.
All right, Dalton. Interesting stuff as always. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Oh, by the way, too, we got to hook up with you because I'm ready to send you something, Dalton. We've got merch now.
Oh.
And for all your hard work, you are going to get one of these in the mail from me. We'll just have to fetch your home address. You can become a member of the 12th Manchild. That's our new 12th Manchild logo. That's our membership. The other side has our logo, the Manchild Show with Boy Green. A pint glass coming your way. Cheers to you, Dalton. Thanks for all your help throughout the season. Of course, we'll continue to talk to you right on up to the draft.
Love that. I'll get it over to you guys. I appreciate you guys having me all year. It was a whole lot of fun, as it always is. And, man, enjoy the Super Bowl, really. You guys have been great all year.
All right, we're all Seahawks fans, baby. Go Hawks! That's what we say. Take it easy, Dalton. Thank you very much, my friend.
Take it easy, guys.
All right, there he goes. Dalton Wasserman, our NFL insider from PFF, giving us some love and getting himself a free pint glass. All that work, I think he does.
Well,
I think he's earned a pint. Wouldn't you say, Boy Green?
I would. First off, come on, Lurch. Water. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Let's go back to some pints, huh? But no. In all seriousness, Dalton did a wonderful job all year. I want to thank him so much. For folks who don't know, like guests like this, they're coming here free of their own charge. I have a good relationship with Dalton. I'm glad that we both do, obviously, and being on this show. So thank you for every week grinding it out, being on here, dealing with all our shenanigans, and it's pretty cool. So shout out to Dalton, and man, what a great season. I appreciated him joining us every week. So very deserving, of course, of a pint.
Yeah, all of our wonderful guests, all of our insiders, just tremendously reliable and really, really good people, and that's just support across the board. They support us, we support them. It's really a nice, warm, fuzzy relationship. There's nothing fake about it. It's just good to dialogue with people. In our cases, people that are often inside covering these teams, around these teams, writing about these teams, doing their own podcasts about these teams. So it's pretty cool. And Dalton is the jack of all trades, working for PFF, where they're covering every team in the NFL. So he's been a great get for us. He goes all the way back to our radio days and has continued with us into this digital world. But super knowledgeable guy. Love it to death. All right, now that Dalton has jettisoned off Boy Green, let's talk about that breaking news today.
Yes.
I'm sure you it didn't break before your show this morning, did it? Or
it did. So
so
again, I was at the end of wrapping up Boy Green Daily this morning, and I was about to say we had a guest on. We didn't. We just had callers, and I had finished all the callers, the super chats, everything, and I was like, all right, everybody, let's put a bow on this, and blah, blah, blah. And then, like I said, Macho Talk Sports came into the comment section and went, we have a roast. He said it with such verve that like it was official, but I hadn't gotten a text or heard anything. So I wanted to double check. Not that I don't trust Macho or anybody, but I always want to see stuff myself before I start spreading it on shows that's everywhere. And I had it confirmed to me that Frank Reich was hired as the OC. So yes, a big shout out to Macho Talk Sports. He's the first person I saw it from before I shut the show. And all of a sudden I saw a bunch of just breaking news, but they weren't telling me what it was. So I had no idea who it was. So I'm like, oh boy, who is it in my brain? And then I went to social media and was able to confirm it that Frank Reich was hired by the New York Jets. The fact that they hired Frank Reich is not surprising. A week ago, NFL insider Connor Hughes of SNY reported that the Jets were like on the goal line of hiring Frank Reich. They were talking contract specifics. He was already starting to reach out to people to build out his staff because obviously if he was to be hired, he was going to build out his staff. Mm-hmm. And then he was telling people around him, like, this deal is done. Like, it's official without being official. I'm going to be the guy. A wrench gets thrown into the mix. The Jets fire Tanner Engstrand. Initially, the Jets' plan was to keep Tanner Engstrand as OC, but he'd be stripped of play calling. He wouldn't do play calling anymore. And they were going to bring in a senior guy, cough, Frank Reich, and he was going to oversee the operation. The Jets and Tanner basically doesn't want to be the OC if he's not calling plays. Can't blame him there. So he wants out. Jets fire him. He's gone. And now the Jets are not hiring a senior exec anymore. They're hiring an OC. And according to the Rooney Rule bylaws, if you're hiring a senior person on your staff, you have to interview one diverse candidate, at least one diverse candidate. if you're hiring a coordinator, it's more intense. You have to interview at least 2 people. So long story short, at a bare minimum, what that change meant is it was going to drag out the process and maybe change the Jets' mind, because at one point they're going to hire Wink Martindale and then they change your mind. So with this happening and the Jets interviewing other people, it wasn't maybe a lock anymore that Frank Reich was still going to be the guy. But ultimately, despite that change, they end up with the same guy that they wanted last week. They bring him in, and Frank Reich is the offensive coordinator for the Jets. And I have a lot of thoughts about this, Lurch, but I'll just sort of put this here, and then we can sort of ping pong back and forth about it. But I'm happy with this hire as a Jets fan. Tanner Engstrand, I'm just going to put this as bluntly as possible. I think people are going crazy over Tanner Engstrand on social media, and I don't understand it. People are looking at these very advanced analytics saying, oh, wow, look at the wide receiver open score rate. That meant he was designing all these plays that were open. And yeah. And these nerds are saying, like, oh, I know that he was bottom 5 in yards. I know he was bottom 5 in points. And I know he had the worst passing offense in the NFL by 500 yards. Think about that, people. The Jets were 32nd in passing yards this season. The next closest team, the Browns, had 500 more passing yards than the Jets did. And guess what, folks? They played the same amount of games, okay? They both played the same amount, which is crazy. So there's these raw numbers to me that are hideous. They're like, oh, my goodness. If AG wants to move on from this guy, okay, makes sense based on the data. But there's all these people that says, oh, but there was upside with Tanner. The thing that I like about Frank, he's not figuring out how to do the job. He's been an offensive coordinator at the NFL level for 4 years prior to this. He was a quarterback in the league forever. He's been a head coach twice. Like, he has so much experience that I love that this guy is going to have a plan. He's going to know, whether you agree with the plan or not is up to people in the audience to interpret. But this is a veteran mind that doesn't have to figure out how to do this job. He knows how to do this job.
Correct.
So if AG didn't want Tanner because he was green and made mistakes, then swing the pendulum the other way and get as veteran of a play caller in here as possible and hand him the keys to the Ferrari. Obviously, someone AG trusts. 30 years ago, they were teammates on the Jets. I really like this hire, and I think at a bare minimum, it increases the floor of the Jets. With Tanner, you could talk to me about ceiling all day. I'm sick of swinging for ceiling. I want a floor. I want respectability. I want competency, and I believe that's what Frank Reich can give the Jets.
Right, and I think AG being the position that he's in, with the heat clearly on him from the fan base, and a year to kind of turn this around in some way, or turn around the confidence of the fans in him, and it looks like he's going to get that year, then I think it's a wise choice by him, if he's going to be successful, to go to the area that he's comfortable with and really try and take care of that side of the ball, and then to hire a really competent guy on the other side and let that guy handle that so that he can be the great overlord and the defensive mind. You can't take it. You just can't do it all. And I think it's enough to ask to do the defense and then still be the CEO in some realm. I think it takes a little pressure off AG to have a guy like Frank Reich. So I don't mind the hire either. I just don't think AG is a good match for one of these, I'll say, young bucks. Okay, one of these up and coming play callers. You know, I think I agree with you. I think a higher floor is better at this point than the potential ceiling of another guy. So for that reason and that reason alone, and AG being in the position that he's in, I don't find it to be a bad hire at all. I really don't.
Yeah, I'm going to reiterate a conversation. Well, I guess we didn't have it here because this digital show didn't exist a year ago, but we did it on the radio. The Jets hired Aaron Glenn, and then he started to put a staff together. And my assumption, before the staff was announced, you must have turned to me on the radio and asked me this question, and I remember saying this. This is what I think AG is about to do. I think he's going to bring in a veteran offensive mind that knows what he's doing, and you can trust whoever that person is. And then at defensive coordinator, he's going to get a young guy, an experienced guy, and he's going to have a lot of influence. It's going to be POS, as the kids text. I don't know if they still text that anymore. We used to text that back in the day. Yeah. They used to mean parent over shoulder. And I think that's what it was going to be for whoever the new DC was last year, is that whoever this guy, a young guy that Aaron Glenn either had confidence in or was finally getting his shot to be DC, and Aaron Glenn was either going to call plays or heavily influence that person to make sure that he doesn't fall. He's putting on the training wheels for the little kid. He's like, I'm going to help you, little guy. I'm going to help you learn how to ride the bike, and we're going to be great, but the offense will be covered. He did the opposite, and I was surprised. He hired Steve Wilkes, this super veteran guy that's been a defensive coordinator forever, and then he went inexperienced at offense. I'm like, that's an interesting choice. I would have assumed he would have flip-flopped, but okay, AG must know more than me. He must know what he's doing, and it went a disastrous route on both ends of the spectrum. Now he's flip-flopping it. Brian Duker, super inexperienced guy, relatively speaking, who's the new DC. AG is calling plays based on all the reporting. And now you have Frank Reich, who's a veteran offensive guy that's forgotten more football than most people will know. So now he's landed on the peg that I thought, quite frankly, he was going to do a year ago. And now I think it's the right choice. Even if it's late and we got here in a weird way, I think it was the right landing spot.
All right, let's flip the script here and talk about the Giants side of things. We broke it down a little bit the other day with Ed Valentine. You could certainly go back and watch that interview, folks, which is already up at MC Show Digital on our YouTube channel. And don't forget, by the way, pop that subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber. You see the link right there. So the Giants go the Matt Nagy route. And to me, this is also kind of a vote of an experienced guy, a guy that's done this before, a guy just like Frank Reich that has head coaching experience at the NFL level and has a pedigree and has been around the block a little bit. Let's talk about whether we like or dislike that hire. How do you like the Giants hire? Do you like it or not like it?
You know what's funny is we're about to say whatever we're about to say, and then the results are going to happen.
Of course.
But I'll tell you this, that there were two paths, I think, three paths, because Todd Monken was obviously the path that everyone wanted, and then Monken got a head coach job, which, again, you said it during the Dalton Wasserman conversation. How can you blame him? He's never been a head coach before. Who knows if he'll ever get a chance again? Browns, you could say whatever you want about the job. He got a head coaching job. Can't blame him at all. But okay,
and I wouldn't say what everyone wanted. I would say what John Harbaugh wanted, which
I meant
a lot of the fan base says, well, I'll go along with whatever Harbaugh wants. If that's his number one, let's go get him. Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. Let me correct myself. I agree. Yeah. Not everyone like the fans. I meant everyone like Harbaugh and his people is who is their target. But yeah, so three passed, but that path expired for obvious reasons because of Monken. And then we had two paths to choose from if you're a Giants fan. There's a fork in the road. Sex appeal or, just what Nagy is. Okay. I don't think a Nagy hire, I don't think it's sexy. I don't think people are like, woo, we just landed this fish. The sexy to me was Cliff Kingsbury, the excitement, the pizzazz, the sizzle with what he did with Jaden Daniels. Oh, wow. Look at another young quarterback in his hands. In theory, Jackson Dart. Wow. Also former head coach. He was a head coach in Arizona, and we could say whatever we want for that success or lack thereof. But that to me was the sexy path that would have revved, I would imagine. I don't know every Giants fan on the planet, but I imagine it would have revved a lot of their engines that it's sexy. But just because it's sexy does not mean it will work. Sexy does not mean substance. Sexy means style points. And that's what I'm talking about right now, that we're both going to have a take on this. And then things are going to happen. So the winner of the offseason, winner of the headlines would have been Cliff Kingsbury to my mind. I think just the floor, if you want to call it that, is Matt Nagy. This is a guy who's been a head coach before. You mentioned the Cleveland Browns, and he was like coach of the year, and they went to the playoffs. Like they had initial success. I think he won 10 games as a first-year head coach with Chicago. It went very well, and then it flamed out very quickly for him. And during that run with the Chicago Bears. And then he's just sort of been around Andy Reid. And a lot of people look at Nagy sideways because he was under Andy Reid and Andy Reid's calling the play. So what the hell is the OC doing? It's not as open. It's not a LinkedIn.com. Hey, I was the Chiefs offensive coordinator. Here are all the things I did. Bing, boom, bam. They're not as public as that. We don't know everything that Nagy did. And sometimes when it's a shroud of mystery, we don't know what they did. Silence is nothing. Oh, he didn't do anything. He held a clipboard over there. So I think that's the perception of Nagy. So to me, I probably would have preferred the sizzle of Cliff because, man, the results are just spectacular. Young quarterback, Jaden Daniels, immediate home run, and then, unfortunately, injuries this year, and then Cliff Kingsbury and Washington part ways. Nagy, I don't see that same quarterback development unless you give him a lot of credit for what happened with Mahomes, which is whether fair or unfair. I'm not sure if we should or shouldn't, but unless you give him that credit, then he's missing sort of that piece of the puzzle for me. But to be honest, I think the Giants could have done a lot worse than Nagy. I know people are reaming it in the streets. I think they could have done a lot worse. He's a veteran, experienced guy, and Harbaugh has been around forever. And if he chooses him, how do you not believe in, if you're a Giants fan and you're sort of on the fence about this? Well, I trust John Harbaugh, don't I? Yes. Well, if I trust him, I should trust the choice that he made. In Harbaugh, we trust.
Yeah, and that's kind of my philosophy is, I don't know. I'm kind of lukewarm about Nagy, but the fact of the matter is, again, looking at his track record, looking at his success, I like those things. But Macho here asks a great question, and I'll try to answer it here because I think it plays right into this. On a scale of 1 to 10, what's your confidence in Matt Nagy developing Jackson Dart? If I have any shortcomings about Matt Nagy at this point, it's, well, what has he done for the quarterbacks, right? And you just heard Dalton talking a little bit about that when we asked him to comment on Matt Nagy. I mean, not that I don't know that Trubisky was ever going to be developed by anybody. So, okay, you're going to hold that against him. And then he got a little glimpse there with Justin Fields in the early part of his career. So he hasn't been the quarterback whisperer that, you like to see working with the young quarterback. And it seems like John Harbaugh was talking in his press conference and has kind of been walking down the path of that's really important to him, is that Jackson Dart be taken care of here, that they put him on the right path with the right person, develop the right relationship, so on and so forth. So Matt Nagy's going to have a chance to prove himself. Can he be a quarterback whisperer? Can he be a mentor to the protege quarterback in Jackson Dart? So if I have a worry about the hire, that's the bigger worry for me is he going to quarterback whisper here with Jackson Dart, which is so, so vital. The only thing I would say and push back on that is that let's just not forget who the head coach is, and that I just have faith that Harbaugh will navigate those waters. And maybe the relationship is more cemented between Harbaugh and Jackson Dart, if that's what's necessary. Maybe he takes a more active role in the development of the young quarterback and takes more of a hands-on approach. I know he is generally known as being a very CEO and delegating, but sometimes even as the delegator, there might be an area where you just see need and you say, I'm going to give that a little extra attention. So I guess I just kind of trust the system, and more importantly, I trust the head guy. But I don't know that I'm in love with the decision, but we're obviously going to very soon get to see the results of that decision.
Yeah. So what was your grade on the scale?
I think for Nagy, I'd be like a 6, and the only reason I'm on the other side of 5 is because I trust Harbaugh. That's where I'd be. 6.
Wow, that's funny because before I wrote it on my hand, when I saw this question, I'm like, let me write it on my hand. My written answer in my hand was 6.5. Like, if we're going decimal points, that's sort of it. Like, it's above average.
Scale, don't you?
I do.
Either outside the scale or put in decimal points.
Yeah. I'm different, I guess. But that's how I wrote it on my hand. So 5 is average. It's above average. He's a veteran, experienced guy, which I like. I like that floor that exists there. But I'm like, I go back and forth on, how much respect does he get for the quarterback development? Again, Justin Fields showed some pops, and Mitchell had pops initially that they went on that sort of season. You're like, but like, again, I don't know how much credit to give him for Patrick Mahomes. Like, Adam Gase was once the offensive coordinator for Peyton Manning. I give him 0 credit for Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was already Peyton Manning. So it's difficult, but I'm at a 6.5. But here's the thing, folks, whether I think it's a 6.5 or it's a 6, the fans in the social media world think it's a 1. We're going to see the proof in the pudding ultimately here. The good news is Jackson Dart is already so talented and everything that obviously Nagy has something to work with here. He's not working from scratch.
Yeah. I don't know if you can get it in the next couple of minutes, Boy Green. I wanted to share that photo of our friend Macho with the Anchorman bobbleheads. That was a great photo. We have shared it on our site, so I'd love for you to share that with the fans while we're in here during our live broadcast. But he did receive those Anchorman bobbleheads and took a really cool picture. I love the picture that Macho took, so I want to share it with our audience here in the live show today. The one thing I would say about the Reich-Nagy thing is this, for either side of it, whether it's Jets or Giants. Both of these guys were quarterbacks, all right? Obviously, we know Frank Reich was a quarterback, okay, in the NFL, at the NFL level. A lot of people might not know Matt Nagy was a quarterback in college. He played for Delaware, the Blue Hens. And I was reading up when the Giants hired him the other day about that history. And in his final season as starter, he was the starter in his senior season. He got playing time in his junior and I think even in his sophomore seasons, but became beat the other guy out in the senior season, a guy that he was competing back and forth with, and they only lost one game that season. So Delaware, dare I say, in their little Division II world, was a bit of a powerhouse that year with Matt Nagy at quarterback. So there's a little history lesson for those that don't know. So this is a guy that knows the quarterback position. If you've played it at the college level, you know the position, and he's been a head coach at the NFL level. You have to give him some credence there. So really both guys, whether it's Reich or Nagy, they both know the quarterback position. So that's always helpful in dealing with a young quarterback.
All right, Lurch, here's a quick trivia game. All right, here we go. Here's some trivia. Let's sometimes this doesn't work, so I will attempt to see if we can have the trivia music cooking and it won't destroy whatever we're doing here. So if it immediately it doesn't work, I'll cut it off for all the people that are listening in. But here is the trivia of what you just sort of brought up there, which I like. And you brought up Delaware quarterbacks, Lurch. Who are two of the most famous Delaware quarterbacks in history? That you
what do I know about the Blue Hens? I mean, it's a miracle when you know their nickname, the Blue Hens.
Yeah.
Delaware quarterbacks. There is like a tickle in the back of my brain that somebody relatively recent had a Delaware connection that I vaguely remember.
There is.
It is.
There's
right?
a guy. I'll even tell you this. I'll give you a hint that this quarterback was a Pro Bowler this year.
Oh my goodness.
And he's playing football right now. So there is a very famous Delaware quarterback that's playing in the league right now that was a Pro Bowler this year. Can you name him? And then there's a more one that's retired now.
But I should have watched more of that flag football game last night. Huh?
Apparently, yeah.
I peeked at it a little bit. I was doing a lot of more important things.
Well, I've really cut it down for you saying a Pro Bowler. There's only 6 Pro Bowlers that played yesterday. So
I know,
but 6 people. Yeah. Okay. Do you give up?
Yeah, I give up. Go ahead. I'm not sure, but I bet you I'm going to be like, darn, I knew that. Oh,
he's also a Super Bowl MVP. Joe Flacco. Delaware.
That's right. He's a Delaware guy. That's correct.
And the more historical one for people that may not know.
Someone going way back?
Yes, way back. And this guy actually just went viral on social media because he ran into his old coach in the streets. Rich Gannon, another former Delaware product that played in the mid-'80s, of course, for Delaware, and then ended up playing in the NFL for a long time, was a league MVP in 2002. I mean, he has a rich history. He just ran into John Gruden.
Yeah, did you see that video? Gruden ran into him in the streets.
Which is awesome. Come on.
Out in San Francisco, out in San Fran. The Super Bowl is nearby in Santa Clara, and obviously people are going to migrate into that wonderful city of San Francisco. And, they bumped into each other. I saw the whole interaction. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so there you go. You bring up Delaware. And I'm like, I know Joe Flacco off the top of my head. I'm like, is there any other ones I'm forgetting? I'm like, oh yeah, it's Rich Gannon. So a couple of blue.
I did not know that about Gannon. I did know Flacco. I did know Flacco. I knew I wasn't going to come up with it, but gosh, I was like, boy, there's somebody I've heard that thing. The Blue Hens. He played for the Blue Hens. So there you go. All right, Joe Flacco.
I will tell you this. 2 things here. First off, we have the picture for Macho. I'll bring that up in a second.
Okay.
And then number 2, on my afternoon show. So we hosted a radio show forever together, and I got to host my own afternoon radio show for a long time. And one of the segments I just made up on my show is called Gridiron Guesswork. And we played football music underneath. And my producer's job was to try to find the most obscure names, regular names, anything, pick an NFL team, and then say the player's name, and I had to say where they went to school. So he'd pull up the Giants and start just dropping names. Paul, where'd they go to school? Where'd they go to school? And basically, it's just a way for me to flex my muscles on useless sports knowledge of saying, Joe Flacco, he was a Blue Hen. He went to Delaware. And the fact that I just knew this information. So I did used to do that, whatever that was, 10 years ago on my radio show in the afternoon. Gridiron Guesswork. I'll have to bring that back, perhaps in the future.
I'm in the giving mood before you throw. Oh, there's the picture. Okay, so let's talk about the picture real quick. But go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so here we go. Again, Macho Talk Sports, who helped break the Frank Reich news to me.
Right in there. He does. Those bobbleheads.
Very nice. I wasn't sure. Yeah, it's a great picture. Obviously, that's his studio. He's also a podcaster. You can see the mic in there. He's got an interesting combo of Kobe Bryant and Darrell Revis. If you watch his shows, he'll explain like his unique fandom and how it came to be. But yes, Lurch, we're in the giving. Speaking of being in the giving mood, you gave away your Anchorman bobblehead collections, which has all the guys there. Veronica Corningstone. You have Brian Fantana, Brick Tamlin. You have Champ Kind. and the whole, news team over there, which is great. So shout out to Macho Talk Sports. He was one of our random giveaways. And occasionally we'll do that as we hit random milestones. We'll do it. If you're a member to the channel, you'll have more access to those, which we'll talk about in the near future about those special raffles for members only. But occasionally, randomly, you'll hear it where we do a free giveaway like we did building up our subscribership. We're closing on 600 subscribers, so we just reached 500 and boom, before you know it, we're going to be at 600 and we're going to keep climbing. So I want to give a big shout out to Macho Talk Sports. Great picture that's also up on our Instagram page at MC Show Digital if you guys want to check that out as well.
Yeah, I'm going to start putting up some more things for some landmark subscribers because I want to again keep the ball rolling on that and give some people some benefits for doing that. Also, from now until we close out the show today, Boy Green, the first three people between now and when we close out the show, and if nobody goes for it, nobody goes for it. But if the first three that jump in and become a member of the 12th Manchild, I'm going to send a pint glass out to. So I got a few more pint glasses.
Okay.
So I will send a free pint glass out to anybody who subscribes at MC Show Digital and joins the 12th Manchild. Any of our levels, you can do that. You can also gift a membership to someone if you want. But as long as you do that and you're one of the first three, we will track you down and we will send you a free pint glass. Here is the pint glass. It has the 12th Manchild logo on it. All right. And then the other side actually has our show logo, the Manchild Show with Boy Green. So we'll send you one of these for if you are one of the first three people to sign up for membership between now and when we sign off of our live show in, I don't know, about 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, so again, let me just reiterate this because you could be watching the show in a lot of different places. My Boy Green YouTube channel, my Twitter account. I also see we have questions. I promise we'll get to those as well here before the show is over. But again, that link on your screen, youtube.com/@MC Show Digital. If you're watching on that YouTube channel right now, you should see a big button in front of your screen that says join. You click that, you will see there's several membership levels. To reiterate what Manchild just said, if you join any membership level, it could be the lowest one, it could be the highest one, whichever one you want. The first three people to join our brand new membership level, like the 12th Manchild, will get a free pint glass. Once you join the membership, I'll reach out to you, get your shipping information. We'll get that out to you. So our membership levels are here. They range from $5 to $20 a month. So, hey, to be able to get all, for instance, if you join the 12th Manchild for just $5, you'll get that pint glass. We'll ship it out to you. Plus, you get all the perks of being a 12th Manchild: loyalty badge, emoji, member shoutouts, priority replies to comments, early access to new videos, and some members only polls, which we'll be doing as well. So again, for $5, folks, if you're out there in the universe who want to join and become a 12th Manchild, 3 pint glasses going out to the first 3 people that take advantage of that opportunity. Feel free to do so.
All right. So love to have you aboard. Okay. All right. So you're okay, it seems, with Frank Reich. I'm okay with Matt Nagy. Neither of us are euphoric about it. But
which one of us are happier about it? R&R asked that. Which one of us are happier with our OC search?
Well, what did you give on a scale of 1 to 10? What do you give Reich?
I'd give a 7.
Okay. Well, I'm sitting at a 6 with Nagy, so I guess you're happier than I am.
Woohoo!
Okay,
yeah, there you go.
You're a little bit happier than I am, but we seem to be kind of in the same ballpark. And I think part of it is let's see what happens. I think on your side of the fence, on the Jets side of the fence, it's, well, what are you giving this guy to work with? I mean, I don't care if it's Frank Reich or Vince Lombardi or Bill Walsh, okay, an offensive genius in the game of football. If you don't have a quarterback to work with, I don't care who it is, it's going to be an impossible task for that guy. So the Jets have to get that piece in place. And on the Giants side, it's can you develop this young quarterback? Is he really the franchise quarterback that the franchise hopes he is? And is this guy the right guy to call those plays and to work with that and mold and sculpt that ball of clay known as Jackson Dart? And keep him out of his own way, for crying out loud. The guy likes to get into trouble. He's got to learn not to do that on the football field, or he's not going to last very long in the NFL.
Yeah, so let's use that to launch because I see we have a question from Twitter. So MSCHT says, what quarterback do you think we could target in free agency or the 2026 draft? He's, of course, asking about the New York Jets, where a lot of my followers come from. And I will tell you this. Here's a sneak peek. This will be Boy Green Daily tomorrow morning outside of more breaking news. There is a clear quarterback target for the Jets after hiring Frank Reich. Multiple insiders have shared this morning since Frank Reich has been hired, both Rich Cimini and Connor Hughes. I'm in the middle of an article that we'll post on the website sometime today. And again, we'll talk about it in more detail on the show tomorrow. I think that quarterback is Jacoby Brissett. Now, I'm not saying this is going to, woo, Jacoby Brissett. That's up to you guys on your roller coaster vibes. If you're a hands up in the roller coaster screaming about this sort of thing. Jacoby Brissett, of course, was with Frank Reich in Indianapolis after Andrew Luck surprisingly retired. They turned to Jacoby Brissett, who's just, to me, he's just rock solid. If we did that same scale, how excited would I be about Jacoby Brissett? Probably a 5, to be honest with you. But you know what? Maybe it's about time we get a floor play here at quarterback. Now, he's not a free agent. He would have to be a trade situation. He's under contract with the Arizona Cardinals for one more season. The Cardinals, of course, just blew up their entire room. And go figure, old friend Mikey, a.k.a. Mike LaFleur, is the new head coach of the Cardinals. He did radio and media, as all the new head coaches do in their local markets. And Mike LaFleur was asked about his quarterback situation, Jacoby Brissett and Kyler Murray, and he punted on even commenting on it. He, like, when he was just sort of asked a softball, like, is there any world where Kyler Murray's on the team? He went like, yeah, I'm not going to talk about that. So, like, he wouldn't even acknowledge that. So I think there is a chance that he's willing to move on from his quarterbacks, Kyler and Jacoby Brissett potentially. The Jets would have to satisfy the Cardinals via trade. Reich, again, has a history with Brissett. He has been called a name to watch by Rich Cimini and Connor Hughes. I could totally see that happening. And I don't think that's the only move they make. To be honest, MSC, I believe the Jets will be adding multiple quarterbacks. I think they could trade for Jacoby Brissett, and we'll explore that possibility on Boy Green Daily tomorrow morning. I also think they're going to draft a guy, and they should, quite frankly. They should have multiple quarterbacks in this room, increase your chances of hitting in the draft, whether it's Ty Simpson in the first round or it's, you know, Garrett Nussmeier out of LSU or Trinidad Chambliss out of Ole Miss. Right. I liked what I saw out of Senior Bowl and heard a lot of good things from Senior Bowl.
I'd wait till the second round to pick him. I wouldn't pick him in the first round.
No,
but I think he could be an interesting prospect. He really could be.
Yeah, he could be. Maybe the Jets have 2 second-round picks. They have 33 and 44. Maybe they trade back from 44 and get a third-round pick and take Nussmeier there. I'm not sure. But so who do I think we could target? I think Jacoby Brissett via trade makes plenty of sense now that Reich has been hired. Because now you can start connecting the dots. Now that we know who the coach is, now we sort of have a sense of the offense. What does he look for? And the types of players that he looks for. So Jacoby Brissett should be on your bingo card, folks, out in the audience. I think, again, in the draft, start looking at quarterbacks of that range of Ty Simpson, Garrett Nussmeier, Trinidad Chambliss, although Frank Reich has a history more with taller quarterbacks, so Trinidad may be eliminated from that, and he struggled with Bryce Young in Carolina, who's also a shorter quarterback. So he's more the tall pocket passers. So I would imagine Jacoby Brissett's, those kind of people in the world is probably where he's going to lean. So again, let's go Garrett Nussmeier, even though he's a little bit shorter. Let's go Garrett Nussmeier and Jacoby Brissett as possible options, MSC.
And I would say this on the Murray front. If Kyler Murray can stay healthy, and that's been a challenge for him, staying healthy, but if he can stay healthy, I think he is a significant upgrade from Justin Fields. Like he is a competent quarterback on the NFL level. Now, he's got that height issue to deal with. He's very small. He's not a tall guy at all, and he has to deal with that. He gets more passes batted down. He's got to get moving and get some lanes to throw through, but he's got a cannon of an arm. He's obviously got great feet, but his problem has been staying healthy, and he's been in a bad system. Not that he's coming anything great with the Jets the way they've been recently, but he's been in a bad system. I think actually he is a guy that could surprise a lot of people given the opportunity. But of course, the key thing is he has to stay healthy. So I don't think he's the worst choice for the Jets if that's the direction they end up going in. But he's a little more of an unconventional quarterback, and now you got to kind of build a little bit of a system for him. If you go with some of the more conventional guys like a Brissett, for instance, just to use him as an example, now you can run your standard grade A offense with a guy like that. So I think it's different strokes for different folks, and maybe there is going to be some there in terms of what it is that Frank Reich works best with, or what is it that Frank Reich wants to work with. Does he want familiarity and go with a guy like Brissett, who will probably even be familiar with a lot of his terminology, or does he want to, swing for the fences here and maybe go for somebody who maybe could surprise us and kind of return to glory? And certainly Murray is one of those possibilities. There's no guarantee, but I think he's a much better roll of the dice than Justin Fields ever was. I really do.
Yeah, again, it goes back to what I think we just said about what I'm looking for. What my dating profile says is I've been hurt so much, I want someone I can rely on, and veteranship both from Frank Reich, I think he provides a much higher floor than Tanner Angstrand, and Jacoby Brissett, clearly the volatile Justin Fields. And there were some cool, crazy swings, right? The crazy 4th and 3 play Monday Night Football, week 4 against the Dolphins. He looked like he was stuffed and did a spectacular 53-yard touchdown run to the house. You're like, whoa, look at this. And then you see him throw for under 60 passing yards. Like, oh, God, geez, hello. And so there's these wild swings. Jacoby, I think there's less wild swings.
Yeah, I think so too. So again, not the worst choices in the world, but it's going to be interesting. And any more word on Kirk Cousins and where that all stands? What's the date on that? There's a date out there, Boy Green,
Yes,
and it's not too far off in the distance where that decision will have to be made whether Atlanta sticks with Kirk Cousins, because he could also be an interesting specimen as a bridge quarterback for a team like the Jets.
Okay, so here was the recent change that happened that's worth noting. The Falcons and Kirk Cousins agreed to modify the final 2 years of his contract, setting the stage for a decision by the Falcons on his future to be made on the 3rd day of the new league year. That is March 13th. So basically, as part of that restructure, he is very likely to be released based on all the insider experts. So he will hit the open market. Kirk Cousins, again, sort of what we're just talking about with, vibe and what goes with what Frank has done before. He could definitely enter the mix. Apparently, I heard this story from one of the insiders. So I believe it was when Kirk Cousins blew out his Achilles within the last couple of years. He and Frank Reich sort of connected the dots as Frank tried to help Kirk through the mental things that happen when you have a very serious injury. And both men apparently are very religious. So they used to share passages in the Bible with one another, and they were in strong communication. So there apparently is quite a bond between those two. So that is something else that you can't rule out necessarily of a potential connection. I know that a lot of Jet fans are miffed by Kirk Cousins because a couple years ago, he was doing a documentary and he gave them full access. And it was, let me make sure I get the year right, 2018. So 2018, before the Jets traded up from 6 to 3, that ultimately landed Sam Darnold. Free agency comes, of course, before the draft. The Jets were all in on Kirk Cousins. And Mike McCagnon and that group offered Kirk Cousins a 3-year deal fully guaranteed for $90 million. And Kirk reveals to this documentary live, he's like, sweet. Tell the Vikings what the Jets just offered and move the money up. So he used the Jets. He never planned on playing for the Jets. He only used them to increase the offer of the team he wanted to go to. And he released that in a documentary, which, of course, more jokes for the Jets. And a lot of Jet fans are angry about that. And they'll never forgive him for it. And maybe Woody Johnson and the ownership group knows how that all happened. Maybe they won't forgive him for it. I don't know. But I do know, based on that insider story from 2 weeks ago, that Frank Reich and Kirk Cousins are very close. And it looks like Kirk Cousins will hit the open market. So the Jets, if they want, will have a chance to talk to him as an unrestricted free agent. Jacoby's more difficult. He's a trade. He's not getting cut. He's making, inconsequential money. The Cardinals would be crazy to cut Jacoby Brissett. Not the case for Kirk Cousins. So Cousins is guaranteed to be a free agent. The Cardinals you would have to satisfy with some sort of a trade situation. So yes, March 13th, mark your calendars, folks. The Falcons likely have to cut him by that date.
All right. And you know what? Just to vamp on Cousins here for a second.
Sure.
Here's the thing. The Jets actually aren't a bad fit for Kirk Cousins because they have the one thing that I think Kirk Cousins needs in order to operate well. They have a good offensive line. And I think that they're going to be able to protect him. And if he has time, he's a very good processor of information, and he'll get the ball out to the right guys. So I know some people think he's over the hill. Some people think he's on his last wheels here. But if he's protected, I think he actually can be very, very effective. So he's an interesting specimen. I didn't know about this whole relationship, so that makes it even more interesting that there's a tight-knit relationship between those guys. So that's good stuff right there. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Again, it could definitely just make a lot of sense. It makes sense for that connection I was just talking about. To your point, having an offensive line, having a go-to wide receiver. He fed Justin Jefferson when they were together. He's got his Justin Jefferson and Garrett Wilson. There's a strong number one wide receiver. There's a strong offensive line. I'll have to go back to Frank Reich's history to see how has he handled running backs, because obviously a big decision coming up for the Jets is Breece Hall. Yeah. Do you franchise tag him? Do you let him go in free agency? What's Frank Reich's history with very talented running backs? Has he paid them in the past? Again, he's not the head coach. He's offensive coordinator, but that might give us some signs, some seeds on what he's potentially thinking here. So, yeah, there's some pieces here. It would make a lot of sense for Captain Kirk.
Yeah, it really would. So, I mean, again, there's no like unbelievably glamorous choice here potentially for the Jets,
No.
but there are some interesting choices, and some of them could end up surprising if it's the right match between OC, head coach, and quarterback to just make it work. And I do think that offensive line piece is an important one that the Jets have. Go ahead, BG.
Yeah, let's go to some random questions here. So R&R on the same topic. I hope the Jets announce another hiring on the staff before the show is over. And Connor Hughes of SNY reported. So okay, let's go back as much as we can. Last week, Jets interviewed 5 guys for the offensive coordinator role.
Mhm.
From that 5, they pick a final 3. The final 3 is Frank Reich, who ends up getting the job, Greg Roman, former offensive coordinator, most recently Jim Harbaugh, who he fired this offseason, but he'd been with Jim forever and John before that, and then Darrell Bevel. Most recently, he's been with the Miami Dolphins as a quarterback's coach and a passing game coordinator. So all very experienced guys. Frank Reich and Bevel have both won Super Bowls as offensive coordinators. Frank Reich with the Eagles in 2017, and then Darrell Bevel did it with the Seahawks back in 2012. So a lot of experience there. All right, so Frank Reich gets the job. Connor Hughes says those other 2 finalists, while obviously they didn't get the OC job, they could still join the Jets staff in various roles. The Jets still need a quarterback's coach. The Jets still need a passing game coordinator. There is a thought that Greg Roman, people consider him one of the better run minds in football. He had a top 5 rushing offense 3 years in a row with the 49ers when he was with Jim Harbaugh. With John Harbaugh, Jim's brother, of course, in Baltimore, Lamar Jackson had an MVP and the number 1 rushing offense in the league. Maybe you could pair 2 things together here. Frank Reich is the quarterback mind. He's running the operations, but get a strong run mind with him, and you get the yin and yang together. Get Greg Roman and Frank Reich together as a combination. Maybe all 3, Darrell Bevel, Greg Roman, and Frank Reich, and really round out the staff. So Connor Hughes said that is a possibility. Rich Cimini also mentioned it's a possibility in his column. So I don't know if we're getting that before the end of the show, R&R. And by the way, if you see it, let us know in the comment section. But that seems like that's very much on the table. So we'll keep an eye out for that. They could round out their staff with some big names.
Yeah, no question about it. Very, very good stuff there. Again, one more reminder before we get out of here in just a couple of minutes. If you want to get yourself a free pint glass, you become a member to the 12th Manchild right now. You can join. It's only $4.99 on our YouTube site at MC Show Digital on YouTube. The first 3 people that do that, if we have 3 people, I'll mail you out a pint glass on me. So you get the glass, which is worth about $15. It's a custom glass, plus the shipping that it costs me. I'll tell you right now, it cost me about $7 or $8 to ship it to you. So it's all coming out of my pocket. But I would love to share our first piece of merch going out of the building here. So I've got a few extras here that I'd love to send out to a few people. So if you join right now, before we get off the air, I will send you a pint glass on us. And you can, dare I say, pose a toast to us when you receive it. Yes, sir.
Yes, and again, just to remind you, maybe watch the show in a lot of different ways. Make sure you're watching on the @MC Show Digital channel so you have an opportunity at this pint glass. The first 3 people that join, if you're watching on the MC Show Digital channel, there's a big button on front of your screen. If you're watching on YouTube, it says join. You click that, and it gives you a bunch of options of membership. The cheapest level is $4.99. That is the 12th Manchild level. So you'll get all the perks of joining the 12th Manchild, which are listed there on YouTube. Plus, as Lurch has said, he will ship you for free a pint glass. So you get all that for $5. What an insane deal, folks. The first 3 people to do it will get it. And again, if not today, that's okay. We'll do it another time. But here, take advantage right now in this moment. Be one of the first 3 people to hit that join button. Become a part of our community.
Hey, another piece of business, too, that I wanted to mention. I meant to mention it on Monday's live show. So we had an interesting development. Remember when we reached 500 subscribers, which wasn't all that long ago, Boy Green, as we now approach 600.
Yeah.
We had that golf club from our friends at Play It Again Sports.
Yes.
And we randomly drew a subscriber, pulled his name out, announced it on our show that morning after we reached 500 in our first live show. Well, that subscriber unsubscribed. And if you we that, guess what? You don't get the prize. It is back in the pool. So we redrew that name, and we have a new winner. And I have informed the winner already. He is someone we know very well. I'm actually ashamed, Boy Green, that he won this prize. All right? I'm actually kind of ashamed. Like, I really don't want to give it to him, but the fact of the matter is he was randomly drawn, so he gets it. I can't believe it that I got to give it to him. And I'm going to hand deliver it to him later this week because he lives locally. He's in our fantasy leagues. But congratulations officially on the airwaves. Sometimes, it's okay to be second in line when someone else steps away. It's like Miss America can't perform her duties. First runner-up, you're in. So first runner-up for the $400 golf club. I mean, he didn't win it, and now he won it. Stinks for me, all right? But that's what happens when you subscribe thinking you're going to win a prize, and then you unsubscribe before the prize is delivered. Hey, you're out, man. You got to be a consistent subscriber. We want you to be part of our army. We're not going to give it to somebody who just comes in for a prize and leaves. So you got to hang around for a while, dare I say.
Yeah.
So this subscriber.
Who's the guy?
And so the winner is Jamie, the FedEx guy. We have seen
him.
He video chatted with us last week.
Yes.
He's in our fantasy leagues. He's been a longtime fan of our radio show and now our digital show. So Jamie is getting a golf club. Congratulations, Jamie. Ugh.
Okay. Well, first off, here you go. Lovely.
Give him a golf club.
You know, I see he's in the chat, so we can answer both of his questions.
He is in the chat
for me and for a question for you. He says,
"You know what I'll do for him since he's in the chat?
That?
All right, let's before you mention what you're mentioning.
Okay.
As we said the other day, when people sign up to be members of our channel, first of all, we have a little sounder that we let out the other day. So I'll play that really quick. All right. Okay. So the sounder, when someone buys a membership and becomes part of the 12th Manchild, is this.
Hell yeah.
All right. So that's the sounder you get if you just go out there and you buy a membership for yourself or you gift someone a single membership. But if you gift multiple memberships, and we've already had that happen a couple of times, we play a kind of select group of videos. We choose a video. So since Jamie won this big prize, I'll give him a video, Boy Green. As a matter of fact, I'll let you choose the video. The other day, I got to choose the video. I played a clip from Rocky 2 when she told him just go out there and win, and Mickey says, "Let's go." So now you get a chance to pick those other videos in homage to Jamie, the FedEx guy, for winning this big prize. Go ahead.
The Zen philosopher Basho once wrote, "A flute with no holes is not a flute, and a donut with no hole is a Danish." He's a funny guy.
A donut with no holes is a Danish.
Yes. Well, very fitting with Golf Club there. So thank you to Chevy Chase for his contribution.
Caddyshack.
Yes, quite. A movie I'm sure everyone loves. So there you go. So that's for Jamie. Think about that. A flute with no holes is not a flute. A donut with no holes is a Danish. There you are. So beautiful. And congratulations, Jamie, the FedEx guy. Thank you so much. So terrific. So we'll end, Lurch, on answering a pair of Jamie questions. First off, it says, Boy Green, you trade the number 2 pick. I got no problem with trading it. Will someone come and take it? That is the question to figure out for sure, Jamie. So we'll figure that out. And I'll get back to your question in a second because a membership was just gifted, Lurch.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, yeah. So, folks, we just explained what happens when that happens.
Hell yeah.
There we go, baby. So, Lurch, let me read this new member to the 12th Manchild. Thank you to our number 1 Austrian Jets fan, baby, for gifting that out in the universe. This is great. Here is the new member on our YouTube channel.
Tell us who the new member is. Go ahead.
It is Jay. Yes, it is Jay Reeves, a.k.a. 3 Sibs, a member of the Boy Green Coffee Club. He is now over here on the MC Show digital channel. So you, sir, get it. So, Lurch, it sounds like you're sending another
I'm sending another glass to Austria, baby. I know how to do it now. Number 1 Austria is going to have a collection of these pint glasses. He's going to be able to pint up with all of his buddies in Austria. Maybe, he can make his way over. I'm sure they have Oktoberfests in Austria, but I mean,
sure, probably
go across the border to Germany where they have Oktoberfest and where I guess it was invented. I think it was invented in Germany.
Oh, okay.
Go check out Oktoberfest, and he can bring the 12th Manchild pint glass along. Have a pint. Although I'll tell you what, those Oktoberfest beer steins or the big glass beer mugs, they're much larger than a pint glass. I can tell you that. It's like 10 pint glasses in one of their glasses. They're absolutely huge.
So he could fill it up a few times. So Austrian Jet fan who's in the chat, thank you so much for supporting the show. That means we have 2 pint glasses left, folks. So again, either purchase your own membership, which is possible, or gift it to thy neighbor. So thank you. And he's saying cheers. Thank you, our number 1 Austrian Jet fan. So again, 2 pint glasses left, folks. We only are on for a few more minutes here before we sign off. So make sure you do that. While we're waiting for those alerts, again, I'll go back to Jamie's questions here. So first off, Boy Green, am I trading the number 2 pick? He's talking about the New York Jets with the number 2 overall pick of the 2026 NFL draft. If there is a path to trade it, I'm open to doing it. But also, I'm open. The Jets lack talent, and they have the number 1 overall pick of all the non-quarterbacks, because Fernando Mendoza, unfortunately, is going number 1, so we could pick anyone else, and there is something to be said to having that number 1 overall pick of any other position, because the Jets have plenty of positions of need, so I'd be all for trading it or keeping it, quite frankly. I just don't know if someone's going to be interested in trading up for it. I think that's the honest truth there. And Lurch going to the other one, what about you? And he's talking, of course, about the New York Giants with the number 5 overall pick. You interested in trading, whether up or down?
Well, it would be down, not up, if there's to be a trade.
Okay.
I don't think it's up. I think it's down.
Okay.
I don't know if there's going to be much of a clamor for the number 5 pick. The Giants have a lot of needs, as we know.
Sure.
And I like the fact that when you're sitting in a place like 5 and you're not looking for a quarterback, you're going to have you're going to have the number 1 guy at several different positions available to you. The Giants could theoretically get the number 1 receiver, the guy that they've put at the top of their board of receivers that are in this draft. They certainly could use another receiver. They could get the top linebacker in this group, okay?
Sure.
And go get that guy. They could go get the top safety for sure at number 5, all right? So I like the idea that even if you're overdrafting someone a little bit in terms of how the experts rate a guy, you have a need at a position, and that guy's number 1 overall in that place, okay? You get the top guy at that position. I don't mind expending a pick like number 5 on something like that. You heard it from me the other day. I rose the question. It was with Ed Valentine in our interview with him the other day. I'm kind of really fascinatingly intrigued by the idea that the Giants take Jeremiah Love at number 5. Now, that has not been a popular choice among many. Many think you shouldn't take a running back that high. But after the debacle with Saquon Barkley, and I think this guy could also be a generational talent, I kind of like the bold move. I like the idea of it. Now, he might not be – that position may not be our number 1 need, but I don't love us at that position anyway, and I would love to love us at that position. So I'd love for the Giants to surprise everybody and take Jeremiah Love. That would actually be a pick that I would endorse at number 5. Don't trade down. Just take Jeremiah Love before like the 7th, 8th, 9th, or 10th team who think they're getting him. Think it's a lock because they have a need there, and the Giants swipe them. I love that kind of stuff in the draft.
Wow. This pivot from you with what you said about Saquon Barkley a couple years ago, this take of yours definitely does surprise me. But, people can evolve. And, obviously you've been influenced by Lou, Jets fan, who has been screaming for Jeremiah Love on Boy Green daily. And I love him, obviously. I love Love. And I got to see him in person when Notre Dame shellacked Syracuse at South Bend. And Jeremiah Love ran for like 200 yards and multiple 50-yard touchdowns. That was a lot of fun. So he's a supreme talent. He's a clear top 5 talent in this draft. Who knows if he actually goes top 5 because of how people feel about the position. But, I love Jeremiah Love.
Let me ask you this. You're kind of a draft savant, and you study it a lot more than I do. I'm perfectly willing to admit that. So let's talk about running backs that have gone, let's just say in the top 10 in the draft, going back X amount of years. Like, here's what my memory goes to. All right. Okay. I remember the Dallas Cowboys took Ezekiel Elliott very high. Was it like 5 or 6? Fourth. Okay. I thought that worked out pretty well. Sure. And many people thought it was overdraft city. I think the Cowboys got a lot of mileage out of him. I think he was a very good, solid player for them for a long time. Sure. So as much as some people went, God, a running back that high. All right. I think it's fair enough to say now that we are, 6-7 years into his career, that Saquon Barkley, for the most part, has been a successful pick, even though the Giants picked him all the way at number 2. He has been a success in the NFL. Well, give me any others, Boy Green, that have happened, say, in the last happenstance of time here. Running backs in the top 10, and was it thumbs up or thumbs down? Because I just gave you 2 thumbs up, guys, and I can't even come up with one that was a thumbs down, at least not in recent history. Go ahead.
Yeah. So again, you already mentioned Saquon Barkley went 2nd overall in 2018. Ezekiel Elliott went 4th overall in 2016. Bijan Robinson went 8th overall in 2023.
Very successful so far.
Very successful. He's been great. One that goes back and forth is Leonard Fournette was the 4th overall pick by the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I would call it a bust.
And the interesting thing is they went to the AFC Championship game with him, and of course the Patriots were involved. Why wouldn't they be? And they were a few plays away from going to the Super Bowl. So to go to the Super Bowl with a rookie, which is what they would have done, that there's a compelling case.
If I'm going to rate his career and say, was he worth that pick? I'd have to say no.
Okay. Christian McCaffrey was the 8th overall pick in 2017.
I think that one's worked out.
Yeah, that's not too shabby. Todd Gurley in 2015 went 10th overall. The Rams went to the Super Bowl with him. But here are some bad ones.
Okay, where are the bad ones? Because I all these short. Now I'm trying to think who were the bad ones. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's
how far back
3.
Do we have to go to find the bad ones?
Let's call it within the last 20 years.
Okay, go ahead.
So Trent Richardson was the 3rd overall pick in 2012.
Disaster.
That was a seismic disaster.
Disaster.
The good thing for them is while the Browns drafted him 3rd overall and he was a bust, whatever the word, something boozled. What's the word I'm looking for?
Bamboozled.
Bamboozled. Yes, I was thinking shamboozled, whamboozled. I'm like, no, that's not right. Bamboozled. Yeah, they traded Trent Richardson to the Colts for a first-round pick.
Right.
So it was still a disaster, but they got something out of it. They got like an eject button.
They got out of it at the right time, right?
Very nice. While people still said, that guy's still pretty talented. So credit to them. It was still a disaster, but at least they got something out of it. Trent Richardson, big disaster. Unfortunately for Buffalo Bills fans, C.J. Spiller, top 10 pick in 2010.
That was a disaster. I do remember that.
Yeah, he unfortunately bounced around the league a lot. He was not good. 2008. This is yes, he was ninth overall. Was C.J. Spiller was 9th overall. So throw it up there for again C.J. Spiller, former Clemson product. Again, super talented. He's a really talented guy. But yeah, he was at 9th overall back in that draft, and not good for the Buffalo Bills, unfortunately. Another one, if we're just going through history here, and this is a guy I really wanted in 2008. I'm not going to lie as a Jets fan. Darren McFadden out of Arkansas. He was a 4th overall pick by the Raiders, and unfortunately, as much as I love Darren McFadden and everything I thought he was going to be at the NFL level, Darren McFadden unfortunately was a bust. Was a bust for the Raiders. 2008, so still 18 years ago. Take that for what you will.
But I mean,
and again, in his career,
isn't it fair to say that there have been more successes than failures? And by the way, some of the successes have been raging successes, like Christian McCaffrey, maybe at the top of that list.
Sure. Yeah. Again, we're going through these numbers of Saquon Barkley's and Christian McCaffrey's, and Zeke had a wonderful career. Todd Gurley had a really nice career before the injuries. So yeah, there's a lot of success stories here. What I think some people may say, despite the successes, is I'm a former running back. I'm always going to cape for running back. So I'm all for taking Jeremiah Love if the Jets move away from Breece Hall as a Jets guy. So I love it. Hep just joined the chat. Hey, fellers. He, by the way, a member of the MC show, Digital 12th Manchild. Appreciate you.
Hep, when you get that pint glass, take a picture and send it to us, buddy. When you get that pint glass, take a picture and send it in. We'd love to see it filled with your favorite beverage, and we'll post it on the site here. Go ahead.
100%. Please do. Hep is a former running back as well. I have a very special place in my heart. The detractors of running backs being taken highly is, sure, they have success, but then look at the team success of these teams, right? So we're going through some of these guys. Saquon Barkley, again, it doesn't count because he had success with the Eagles, not the Giants. So put that in the bucket of team success. Saquon Barkley did not have success, unfortunately, with the New York Giants. Bijan Robinson has not had team success with the Atlanta Falcons. Leonard Fournette, like I said, is the unique example. He had a lot of success. Yeah. Christian McCaffrey, the Panthers, did not have success. Cowboys, they had success, but didn't end up ever doing anything. Todd Gurley, they went to a Super Bowl, so take that for what you will. And then it's obvious with Trent Richardson, C.J. Spillers, Darren McFadden, those teams didn't have team success. So that's what the detractors say. Sure, even the home run hits are wildly successful in a pocket of, wow, what a really good running back. But the team didn't win Super Bowls taking these running backs in that case. And for that, I can offer no pushback, obviously.
But I could also offer up that how many teams, if we went back, we don't have to do it. But I mean, if we went back in the annals of history and said how many safeties that were taken in the top 10 have turned teams into championship teams, how many, linebackers who were taken in the top 10 have turned teams into championship teams. I think we're going to find very small numbers because there are positions that are just more impact. The number one, of course, being quarterback, which is why we see them jump to the top of the board every year, almost no matter what. That guys that probably don't deserve to be up there climb because of the possibility of what kind of impact a quarterback who has his hands on the ball every play offensively can do for a football team. They're just our teams they're just our positions that are more impactful. But I still think if you get a blue chip guy and he produces for you, you have to be happy with that pick. So I wouldn't be heartbroken if the Giants took Jeremiah Love. We need something, frankly, to get us forgetting about the whole Saquon Barkley situation. So if we ended up with a guy that had a more successful career, that was more healthy, there you go. You there,
yeah,
PJ?
by the way, Hep says his glass just came in. Thanks, fellers. So,
there you go.
Yo, can you hear me?
Glass has safely arrived. Yes, yeah. We're just having a little bit of back and forth hiccup
Okay.
between the two of us. It's just like we're getting a little slap back or delay or something. But yes.
Okay, so sorry about that, but no. So yes, Hep, if you didn't hear Manchild already, please and if you need the help of your wife, get a picture ASAP. You can text it to me or Facebook message it over to me. We'd love to celebrate it and show it off to all the great people. Show it off that you got the glass. So Hep, please send that over whenever you get a chance.
Yeah, try not to blink this time, Hep. We want to see those beautiful eyes. It was hilarious that he took that picture. He won the hockey
slap shot.
The slap shot autographed photo that I've had for many, many years, and he took a beautiful picture with it, but he had his eyes closed. I thought it was hilarious. So eyes open on this one, Hep. Eyes open. We'd love to see your eyes on the as you're sipping from the lovely, lovely Manchild show with Boy Green, 12th Manchild pint glass. Have one on us, my friend. Fantastic.
Well, again,
to the pub this week, I think I'm just going to bring
it
into the pub and then just walk in, slap it down on the pub, on the bar and say, "Fill her up, my friend." Right?
Let's see.
Tell me your own glass. I'm like, of course I do, man. I have pint glass. We'll travel, baby.
I'm sure there won't be opposed to it. It's one less dish they have to clean, I suppose. So I'm sure they'll be all for it. But thank you to the 300 people that are in the room watching the show. Again, as we're wrapping up here, guys, feel free, hit it up, youtube.com/@MC Show Digital. Subscribe to the channel. Again, we're closing in on 600 subscribers. We're very pleased with that. So thank you for all the growth that we've had here on the channel. Any final thoughts over there, Manchild?
Final thoughts. I mean, we're going to be back with some non-live shows here in the next couple of days talking about other things, including the Super Bowl. But just since it's our last live opportunity to talk all things Super Bowl, me and you are both Seahawks fans in this one. I like their chances. I think New England finally gets exposed for their weak schedule in this game, and I love the Seahawks defense, and I think they're just going to put it to them. Now, the one concern I do have is that Mike Vrabel is a very good schemer, and he's done a really surprisingly good job with this New England defense. I think the defense is actually a little underrated considering what it's done. And my one concern going into this game is, does Vrabel do enough to baffle Sam Darnold and turn him into a turnover machine? Because if that happens, Seattle can lose this game. But if Sam Darnold is efficient and that Seattle defense comes to play, and I'm very confident they will, I think it's trouble. And I think I'm not predicting a blowout. I do think it will be a competitive game, but I won't be surprised if Darnold doesn't throw any picks, that this could be a blowout the other way, that it could be Seattle blowing the doors off of New England because they're efficient offense, and then that defense just stifles Drake May. Let's not forget, Drake May is still a second-year player.
Correct. Yeah.
Awful good this year, and he's a deserving MVP candidate. But the fact of the matter is, he still is a second-year player. He can be fooled. He can be baffled, and that defense is tough as nails. They have a really good defense in Seattle.
No doubt about it. Again, well said on Mike Vrabel being a really good coach, and to give that guy like that 2 weeks to prepare for an opponent, he should have all kinds of bells and whistles and tricks that he's been holding out for this. And then on the Sam Darnold element, it's been a storyline. He's been asked about it all week. Ghosts, referencing the Monday Night Football game when he was a Jet and he went to the sideline. He was mic'd up and says, "I'm seeing ghosts out there," indicating, and that's a term for football, to indicate things are there that aren't there, like simulated pressure. Like you get sacked earlier in the game, and all of a sudden you think pressure's there, and you get rid of the ball. You're like, "Oh wait, no one was there." So you're hearing and seeing ghosts in your head. And that's a football term that's used all the time, but unfortunately that went viral for all the wrong reasons for Sam. So if a bad play happens immediately, can Sam get past it? It's sort of a microcosm of everything. Sam Darnold was a third overall pick in 2018. His first game was also on Monday Night Football. Sam Darnold's first pass ever was a pick six to the Detroit Lions. And everyone said, classic Jet loser quarterback. And Sam Darnold came back, and the Jets scored 48 points in that game. So he bounced back very quickly from throwing a pick six and not being fazed by it. And that is in his draft profile. Jason Garrett read it to Sam Darnold a couple of years ago. He said, hey, Sam, what do you make of this draft profile? He read through all these things of a scouting report. At the end, doesn't get fazed by failure, can bounce back immediately. And that's been the telltale Sam Darnold's career. So, yes, that's a thing to avoid. But, yes, I'm leaning towards Seahawks blowout win. But, hey, on Friday, we will reveal that to everybody when we make our picks.
All right. So that'll put a nice, neat bow on this one, folks. Thank you for all the support. Again, if you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe. If you're a subscriber and you want to get into membership now available. We'd love for you to become a member, be part of our growing community. 3 levels of membership. We don't care which one you join. We just love you to be part of the whole thing. But you get more and more perks the further you climb up the ladder. And, of course, you're supporting the channel at a greater level. We love that so that we can provide better stuff for you. Thanks to everyone today. We do appreciate it, and we will see you. Plenty of content coming out the rest of this week. We'll be back live again next Monday. Everybody, enjoy the Super Bowl, my friends. It ought to be a good one. Hopefully, it's a Seahawks victory. That'll do it for the Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. Take care.